So today we're in Towcester. There's actually some blue sky. Very ancient town, Lactodorum, the Romans called it. Lots of old buildings and some blue sky today. So we'll crack on and start at the church. So this is Watkins Street, formerly the A5. Where all the coaches came, and lots of coaching inns still here. Lactodorum, apparently the oldest town in Northamptonshire. Still very busy. They're waiting to have approval for a bypass, an old garage there, and we're going up this little path here which leads us into St Lawrence's Church. Nice little thatched cottage here, literally in the graveyard. So here we are, here's St Lawrence's. 12th century, but it's overlaid onto the plans of a 10th century church, and the most famous resident, if you can call it that, in the graveyard is Archbishop Spon. I'm not sure if you call him Spon or Spoon, but he was very well known locally and endowed a school. There's lots of things round about the Spon Arcade, and the school's still called Spon. Nice quiet graveyard, and there's the clock tower. So this tomb here in the graveyard is interesting because it's Mrs. Anne Phipps, the wife of Mr. Pickering Phipps. If you've seen any of my previous Ramble on videos, we go to Collingtree where the Phipps family built a big house, the Grange. He was from the Northampton brewery dynasty and was so popular that when he died, when it was the funeral in Collingtree, there was 200 people thronged the streets, and they had to get extra policemen in to look after the crowd. St Lawrence apparently is the patron saint of Roman legions, which seems a bit strange, but there you are. And this current building, most of it is from 1485. Just down the road from the church is, this is now a brewery, but it was a mill. You can see there it says Towcester Mill. There was a mill mentioned in the Domesday Book, but this current building is about 200 years old. You can see here the mill stream. There's a nice area over there called the Water Meadows, which is grade 2 listed, and it's part of the Easton Neston estate. Very muddy at the moment. This is known as Bury Mount. It's the remains of a fortification from the 11th century, because here at Towcester it controlled the junction of the A5, and in the Civil War Towcester was the HQ of the Royalists under Prince Rupert, and the mount was converted into a platform for 2 cannons. Then it was an orchard, then it was gardens for cottages at the bottom. They're now demolished, and then in 2008 they got some money, I think from the Millennium Fund, and it was all restored. So this area is called the Forum. It's all very new, as you can see. There's some shops and a little bit of housing there, and these are the council offices and the library, obviously called the Forum, with a nod to the Roman heritage. Quite nicely done. So here's one set of the gatehouses to Easton Neston House. It's privately owned, occasionally open to the public in the summer. The main gatehouse is at the racecourse entrance, because the racecourse was developed in the grounds of the house. It was completed about 1700. The architect was Nicholas Hawksmoor, and it's in the Baroque style. It was originally owned by Sir William Fermor. The grounds have got a canal and a water terrace, and in the 1970s the ownership passed through the family line to the Hesketh family, Hesketh Fermors, who had the racing team at Silverstone. I think James Hunt was one of their more famous drivers. And then it was sold, the estate was sold later on piecemeal, so that all bits of the estate were broken up and the house was separate and the grounds, and it's now owned by Leon Max, who's a Russian fashion designer. Lord Hesketh kept the race course, and the original entrance gates are 1824. Farther down here, this is the Northampton Road off the main high street, the Watkins Street, and further down here it's a pleasant walk to the Gothic village of Hullcote. It's just some houses for the workers on the estate, built around a village green. There's a tiny school. It's a little bit too far to walk today. Pleasant walk in the summer, and you can come back across a public footpath across the fields. Tesco. You might be saying, well, what are we doing here? In 1866, we'd have been standing on the platform. It was operated for nearly 100 years. It closed in 1964. A really busy, a major centre. There was 3 platforms, a footbridge. The sidings held 126 wagons, and on race days the traffic increased even more because there was special excursion trains from St Pancras. Nothing, absolutely nothing left of it now, but we can still see the embankment across the road. We've just walked down from Tesco now, and there's the embankment. That way went down to Tiffield, and then over there you can just see the other side of the embankment, and we're going through that pocket park now. The other side of the road now, we're in the pocket park, and there's the embankment. It's too muddy to walk along it today, but maybe another day. We've come through the pocket park, the school on our left, and then you come out onto the main road, and here in the grounds of the Bull Hotel you can see the workhouse. It's a famous architect designed it. He had a hand in lots of workhouses. Sir George Gilbert Scott. He also designed the Albert Memorial, and he was from Gorcott, which isn't too far away from here. So, fairly local lad. The workhouse here was built in 1836. It had had a laundry. I think they might be over there, those outbuildings, wash houses, and accommodation for vagrants. In the 1881 census, there were 91 residents. The youngest was 1. The oldest was 81. There was one family noted as casual paupers. Don't know what they were the rest of the time. Other categories included imbecile, blind, lunatic. Mostly the inmates were from Northamptonshire, but there was a Manchester and a York. Lots of lace makers and agricultural labourers. But one of the saddest things was a blind army pensioner from Gayton, aged 62, called John Kingston. We're around the other side of the workhouse now, so as you can see, it's apartments now. They're remembering Gilbert Scott, who designed it. His grandson was famous in his own right for the red telephone box, and he also was the architect that designed Liverpool Cathedral, the Anglican Cathedral. We're going south on Watkins Street now, and this pub here, the Saracen's Head, very famous. It's actually mentioned in Pickwick Papers when they all stop overnight. It's obviously a coaching inn, there's the gate, and those statues there, if you can see, Minerva and Apollo, they were supposed to be from Easton Neston house. So we'll just walk down the High Street, Watkins Street, for a little way and point out all the old buildings. Before we cross over, that there, the Rice Bowl, looks to me like it used to be a pub. There were plenty of pubs on the High Street. Very ornate sandstone building there, and down in the distance you can see the town hall. There's the Saracen's Head again, significant chimneys. Renovation work being done there. A real mixture of architecture, different periods in time. Those two little buildings there look very old, with the tiny windows up there. They're all looking a bit shabby now really, but not surprising because they've been closed for a while with the COVID. Such a busy road. There's a really old one there, looks to me like used to be a pub. And we're coming up to the HSBC. Well, it used to be the HSBC, it's now Specsavers. It tells us that it's the oldest bank in town. Set up by John Jenkinson in 1781. We've got a timber framed building over there. Again, looking like it needs some care and attention. One of the pubs at the left, the Brave Old Oak. That's obviously to do with Charles II hiding in an oak tree, isn't it? Another pub there, is that called the Plough? And down here is the Spon shopping centre. quite modern, but named after the Archdeacon's Spa. It was previously the old Talbot Inn. Must have been a sort of a coaching inn with the archway there to the stables. Another one that was a pub, the Watkins St Village. There's a closer look at the plough, and we're just going to talk about the post office and the town hall now. Post office, 1799 that was built. It's nice to see a post office still functioning. Magnificent town hall there. The Victorians making a statement. 1867 that was built. And racing across the road, the Chantry House here, which was, I think it was like a vicarage. I know Archdeacon Spon again used to live here. It gets everywhere. This was 1865, the Chantry. Closer look at the town hall. Nice building over there. Looking up the street the other way. There's a little alleyway just off Watling Street, a sign saying Catholic Church, and here it is. It was originally built as a Methodist hall in the 1800s, and in the 1970s the Catholic Church bought it, and now it functions as that. Nice that it was saved. Two little houses here, spire of the church. Another little alleyway off the Watling Street takes us to the Towcester Museum. Very interesting. Lots of Roman history in there, but covering all ages really, through Victorian and these are the modern day equivalents of the almshouses. 1689 there was Bickerstaff almshouses, long since demolished, and behind them, just about where that building was, looming very large, was the cinema, built in 1939 by Lord Hesketh. It had got 890 seats, and sadly it was demolished in 1984, so it didn't have much of a life, did it? It was a stunning auditorium, as they were in the 1930s. He built it for the people of Towcester and as a birthday present for his American wife, who was called Florence Louise Breckinridge. There was a private box that you entered from some steps from the street, which was, his wife had some known eccentricities. I can't find out what they were, but it was to avoid embarrassment. So what a shame. Beautiful buildings gone. But over here we have, just up here, the Malt House Court, which was a former brewery. So we'll just have a look at that. Just a little bit farther south on Watling Street we come to another pub, the Monk and Tipster, and next to it this enormous Baptist chapel. It tells us it was built in 1877, practically in the grounds of the pub. So this is called Malt House Court. A pleasant little area to live in. The river's just there, and This was an old brewery, malt house. Final one, that's the old fire station. Just been talking to the people that live there. And yeah, it's the only bit of the whole brewery setup that's left. We're back to the beginning now. We've had a whirlwind tour of Towcester. So thank you for watching. If you want to subscribe, it's free, or like, and there'll be more coming soon. Thank you.